Have you ever been told you're too quiet, too independent, that you keep to yourself a little too much? If so, let me tell you something from the heart. You are not broken. You are not falling behind. In fact, your love for solitude might just be one of the most powerful strengths a person can have. You see, while the world rushes to stay busy, you pause. While others chase noise, you choose peace. And that's not something to change, that's something to honor. Because solitude isn't about loneliness, it's about knowing yourself. It's about finding clarity, healing old wounds, and letting your inner voice speak a little louder. And if you're someone who enjoys quiet mornings, thoughtful afternoons, and time just to be, you're not alone. You're growing. You're deepening. You're living life at its most meaningful pace. So today, I want to walk with you through 7 powerful personality traits that often show up in seniors who prefer solitude. And who knows, by the end, you might just see your quiet nature not as something to explain, but as something to celebrate. Take a breath, get comfortable, and let's begin. Trait 1, the deep thinker. They don't just live life, they ponder it. Seniors who enjoy solitude are often the ones with a rich, thoughtful inner world. They reflect. They replay conversations, not to overthink, but to understand. They notice the little things others miss and ask the deeper questions no one else pauses to consider. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're trying to make sense of things, to find meaning at the surface. Think of Christopher and Thomas, both 72. Thomas's calendar is packed. Meetings, phone calls, social events, always on the go. He's surrounded by people, always talking, always doing, but his thoughts often skim across the surface. Now Christopher, he starts his day with quiet. A warm cup of tea, a notebook open on the table, and space to breathe, space to think. He writes about life, about the people he's loved, the patterns he's seen in human nature, what matters and what doesn't. He speaks less than Thomas, but when he does, people lean in, because his words are careful, clear, distilled from hours of reflection. That's what deep thinkers do. They don't fill the air with words just to be heard. They speak when something needs to be said, and their thoughts carry weight because they come from a place of stillness, not reaction. In solitude, deep thinkers find clarity. They're not confused by the chaos of the world because they've made peace with it in their own way. They've learned that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. And that kind of wisdom, that calm, thoughtful presence, it only grows stronger with time. Trait 2, emotionally independent. There comes a time in life when you stop tying your peace to someone else's presence, and that's exactly what emotionally independent seniors have learned. Their happiness doesn't rise and fall with who calls, who visits, or who remembers to say good morning. They've discovered something far deeper. Let's look at Daniel and Mark. Both are 74. Both have families. Both know what it's like to love and be loved. But how they move through their days is very different. Daniel checks her phone constantly. Every beep, every silence affects her mood. If a day passes without a call, she feels forgotten. Her joy is tied to other people's attention, and when it's missing, her heart feels heavy. Now Mark, she starts her morning with a walk through the garden. She makes herself a gentle breakfast. She reads in the sunlight, maybe writes a note to a grandchild. She still loves deeply, but her joy comes from within. She doesn't wait for others to make her feel seen. She knows her own worth. That's emotional independence. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't depend. You've walked through seasons of loss. You've felt the sting of disappointment. And yet, you've come through with grace. You've learned that even when others let go, you still stand. That kind of strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It's calm. It's built over time, through faith, through healing, and through learning how to be your own anchor. Emotionally independent seniors don't need constant validation. They've built a steady joy, like a well that fills from the inside. They don't chase attention, they rest, they create, they care for themselves without apology. And here's the beautiful irony. Because they don't cling, others often feel drawn to them. Their peace is magnetic. Their presence feels safe. So if you've stopped waiting for others to define your worth, if you found peace in your own rhythm and steadiness in your own space, that's not distance. That's freedom. And it's one of the clearest signs that your soul has grown strong. Trait 3. Highly observant. When the world slows down, the details start to speak. Seniors who enjoy solitude often carry a quiet gift. They notice things most people rush right past. Not just what's happening, but why it's happening. Not just what's said, but what's not said. You see, when you're not busy trying to keep up with the noise, you begin to tune into the little things. A change in someone's tone, the flicker of doubt behind a smile, the way the air shifts before it rains. Let's look at Stephen and Andrew. Both are 75. Both are kind, but they live very different kinds of days. Stephen is always in the mix, talking, moving, multitasking. He's the life of the party, but often forgets the details. Now Andrew spends most mornings on his porch, a cup of coffee in hand, just watching, listening, being. He notices when the birds return in spring. He senses when his neighbor is a little quieter than usual. He remembers things you said months ago because they mattered to him. People like Andrew don't need constant stimulation. They find richness in stillness, meaning in moments others overlook, and that is a quiet kind of brilliance. Highly observant seniors are the ones who remember your favorite tea, who notice when your laugh sounds just a little different, who feel the emotion in a room before a word is ever spoken. It's not magic. It's not mind reading. It's simply attention, focused, thoughtful attention. And in a world that's always rushing, that kind of presence feels like a gift. So if you found that quiet moments speak volumes to you, if you pick up on things others miss, the energy, the emotion, the little shifts in someone's eyes, then what you carry isn't just awareness, it's wisdom. It's empathy. It's a gentle power that helps others feel truly seen and quietly understood. And that is something truly special. Before we jump into trait 4, do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and share this message. Your simple action can help more people who are struggling with this issue find the content they need. Thank you for being a part of this. Trait 4. Selective with relationships. They don't crave crowds. They treasure connection. Seniors who enjoy solitude often have a quiet wisdom when it comes to relationships. They're not chasing popularity. They're seeking peace. Instead of filling their calendars with lunch dates and noisy gatherings, they choose a few, the right few. Let's take Delwyn and Calixta. Both are in their early 79s. Delwyn is always out and about. Book clubs, bingo nights, church socials. Her days are full of people. But somehow she still comes home feeling unseen. Calixta? She meets up with just 2 dear friends. They talk slowly, they talk deeply. And when the visit ends, she feels lighter, not drained. Because connection isn't about how many people are around you. It's about how real the bond feels. You see, many of these seniors have lived long enough to know what it feels like to be surrounded by people and still feel alone. That's why now they choose wisely. They don't pretend. They don't play along just to keep company. They'd rather sit in silence than sit in small talk. Because their time, it's precious. It's their energy. It's not for everyone. They've learned that not everyone deserves access to their inner world. And that's not cold. That's clarity. The people they let in, they're the ones who listen, who care, who get it. It might be a lifelong friend, a neighbor they trust, a sibling who's always been there. No drama, no performance, just real, honest companionship. So if you found yourself stepping away from big groups lately, if you feel more at ease in quiet conversations than in busy rooms, that's not isolation. That's intention. And intention in relationships, that's one of the purest forms of self-respect. Trait 5, creatively inclined. Solitude for some isn't empty space. It's a canvas. And the seniors who embrace it, they become the quiet artists of life. They don't always paint or write bestsellers, but their creativity lives in the small sacred moments, the kind that most people overlook. Let's look at Paul and Joshua. Both are 79, both retired, both with time on their hands. Paul keeps busy, TV on all day, running errands, always needing something in the background. Joshua, he sits at his workbench, carving little wooden birds by hand. No one really sees them, but that's not the point. Because for creatively inclined seniors, it's not about praise, it's about peace. They find joy in the act itself, in planting a garden just right, in humming a tune while sweeping the porch, in writing letters they may never send or stories they quietly tuck away in a drawer. Their creativity isn't for the spotlight, it's for the soul. It gives their mind something to explore, their heart something to feel, and their days a kind of quiet rhythm. These are the people who knit scarves for neighbors, who rearrange their living room like it's a fresh chapter, who put love into a simple bowl of soup. And you know what? That creative spark, it does more than fill time, it protects them. It keeps their spirit light, their brain active, and their heart connected to something meaningful. Because when the world slows down, creativity speeds up inside. So if you find yourself painting in the quiet, or journaling in the morning light, or simply imagining something beautiful while stirring your tea, know this: that's not just a pastime, that's purpose, that's expression. That's you, staying connected to the wonder of being alive. Trait 6, strong self-discipline. It's one thing to follow a routine when someone's watching, but it's something entirely different when you do it just for you. Seniors who enjoy solitude often carry this quiet strength, a kind of self-discipline that doesn't need applause, doesn't need reminders. It comes from within. Let's look at Kenneth and Edward, both 81, both kind men. But they move through their days in very different ways. Kenneth depends on group reminders, classes, community calendars, a little nudge from others to stay on track. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Edward? Edward wakes up at the same time every morning. He makes his bed, does his stretches, takes his medicine, prepares a simple breakfast with care. No one's keeping score, no one's checking in. But he does it anyway. Why? Because it grounds him, because it's who he is. That's the quiet power of self-discipline. These seniors don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't need motivation to show up. They move through their routines with calm, with clarity, and with quiet respect for themselves. They know life is unpredictable. Health shifts, family dynamics change, but their inner structure, that stays strong. They've learned that routine isn't something that traps you, it frees you. It gives the day shape, it gives the heart steadiness, and it shows up in the smallest ways. The way they remember to water the plants, the way they track their blood pressure without being told, the way they tidy their space because it helps them breathe easier. This discipline, built slowly over a lifetime, becomes a kind of gentle armor. Not rigid, not cold, but reliable. It says, I take care of myself because I matter. So if you found comfort in your own rhythm, if you stick to your habits not out of pressure but out of peace, then what you're showing isn't just willpower, it's self-respect. And it's one of the most beautiful signs that your strength comes from within. Trait 7, spiritually grounded. There's something about them, a stillness, a quiet strength you can feel just by being near. Seniors who are spiritually grounded don't panic when things get quiet. They don't fear stillness, they welcome it. They've spent years searching for answers, and somewhere along the way, they made peace with the mystery. Take Bonita. She's 82 now. Each morning she sits by her window, hands resting in her lap, eyes soft, not watching TV, not checking her phone, just being. She doesn't pray in the traditional sense. She doesn't follow a strict belief system. But she reflects. She breathes deeply. She thinks about the people she's loved, the seasons she's lived through, and the quiet beauty of it all. That's spiritual grounding. It's not about rules or rituals. It's about connection. To nature, to memory, to something greater than the day-to-day rush of the world. These seniors aren't looking for distractions. They've grown comfortable with uncertainty. They don't need all the answers. And in that gentle surrender, they've found peace. It shows in how they move, slow but sure. In how they listen, fully present. And in how they comfort others, not with solutions, but with calm. Spiritually grounded seniors have lived through joy and loss, triumph and pain, and instead of being hardened by it, they've been softened. They've learned that life isn't always about doing. Sometimes it's about being. So if you found that quiet moments now feel sacred, if you've stopped chasing certainty and started sitting with what is, then you carry something rare, a spiritual rootedness, a depth that doesn't need to shout. And in a noisy world, that quiet presence, it speaks volumes. Now let me gently ask you, did you recognize yourself in these traits? Do you find comfort in stillness and meaning in the quiet corners of life? If so, you're not alone. You're one of the rare souls who've grown wise, not by speaking louder, but by listening deeper. While the world may tell us to stay busy, fill every moment, and be constantly connected, you've chosen something more powerful. Solitude. Not as an escape, but as a sanctuary. Because when you embrace your own company, you begin to understand who you truly are. So if you enjoy peaceful mornings, thoughtful friendships, and afternoons spent in quiet reflection, you're not fading. You're flourishing. And your calm presence, your gentle way of being, might just be the quiet lesson someone else needs to feel whole again. If this message spoke to you, leave us a comment below. Let us know which trait felt closest to your heart. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring the bell. We're here to walk this path with you, to share wisdom, warmth, and the quiet beauty of growing older with grace. From all of us at Elderly Golden Advice, thank you for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next video.